Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you game 1 of a best of 3 between Vesely and Nilla in the semi-finals of the Season 6 playoffs of the Steel Division 2 League. Today they are playing on Orsha North, and on our left in the red team, playing on the Axis side, we have Vesely using the first Lovas and the Maverick deployment type. And on our right in the blue team we have Nilla also playing on the Axis side using the 20th Panzer and the balanced deployment type. So really interesting matchup we got going on here. First Lovas versus 20th Panzer, but before we talk about the divisions, let's talk about how these guys got here. Vesely managed to go top in his group after defeating Gonzo in a tiebreaker. And Nilla defeated Jack in the quarterfinals quite convincingly. So both of these players very strong, and I'm really looking forward to this best of 3. But yeah, back to those divisions. First, Lovas, really interesting one to see. Naturally a very aggressive division. It relies a lot on its early game aggression with its strong infantry. It's like Hasorok, Hasagoyo backed up by the sort of light armor in the Turans. Now the Turans not half as good as they used to be. I think they took a big nerf in the range rework. Only having 1000 meter range makes them really bad against support weapons. So AT guns, like even small AT guns, are going to outrange a Turan in most cases. So getting them in the right places to do damage is super important, but it doesn't really look like much armor is coming down from Vesely at the start. Over on the side of Nilla, he's got the 20th Panzer. He's got his strong medium armor in the form of the Panzer IVs and some pretty decent infantry and support weapons to back him up in the mid game. So let's have a quick look at the deployments. On the top side here, Vesely's got a Nehezpuska, which is an AT rifle squad, a couple of flamers following that up, and Rohamakasok and a Lovas Tist. These are your close range infantry with flamers, like basically like a Sturm Pioneer squad. Then you've got a Nehezpuska, Schwalosa, which is your machine gun, 40M, which is basically a Pak 40, another Langsolashok, which is the flamers, 2 Loves, Schwalosa, Hasorok, and another 40M, which is again another Pak 40. Nehezpuska, Langsolashok, and Schwalosa further down, and then on the very bottom side here we've got Nehezpuska, 2 flamers there, 2 Rohamakasok, the 40M Lovestist, and Hasagoyo Soroshok with the Hasorok further behind. Over on the side of Nilla, he has the 2 Stostrup with the Sturm Pioneers and the Panzer Grens, and then a Pioneer Führer and the Panzer III. Then below that he's got the Aufklärer, Stostrup, MG42 Ersatztruppen. Aufklärer, 2 Panzergrens here with a Pioneer Führer, Panzer IIIN, and a Pak 43-37. And on the very bottom side, 2 more Stostrup. These Stostrup, by the way, are the small squads with Molotovs, with a bunch of submachine guns. And he's got 2 Sturm Pioneers following those up, 2 Ersatztruppen, Panzerschreck, Pioneer Führer there, Ersatztruppen, and the Panzer III. So let's have a quick look at where these guys are going. Ju-88 coming up from Vesely at the start again. It also looks like he's added a couple of Turans to the mix. He's got a Turan 2 heading to the bottom side and a Turan 1 on the top side. These Turan tanks are actually really cool. I like how they look. They're just not very useful. I feel like they get taken out by medium armor so easily. Like even these Panzer IIINs are probably going to make short work of the Turan just because they outrange them so easily. Even 1500 meter range on the AP shell of the Panzer IIIN. So yeah, interesting that the Ju-88's coming out again from the start from Vesely. Does like to make good use of his recon aircraft. Does give him some decent information about what he's going to be coming up against. The Stostrup, and it looks like the Langsolashok and the Nehezpuska is kind of doing a race for the center flags. Nehezpuska has moved up. Looks like Nilla might go for that. No, he's going to be unloading that to the center. Panzerguns have taken up position in this town. and then Ersatztruppen on the bottom side. So no like big clashes at the start. I don't think any transports really got taken out. One did get taken out on the top side there by the Nehezpuska. Double checking that one. Focke-Wulf 190 coming in early on for the bombing strike, going for this building. Nilla's going to dodge it out. The Stoss troops still get pinned though, which is pretty big. So he might be able to get the surrender with the Langsoddershok if he gets close enough. Also, Vesely can just run at them with the Nesbuska and use the submachine gun there to do the damage, but don't think he's going to want to commit to that. I don't think he has eyes on either of those squads, so he couldn't see that it was actually pinned down fully. And you wouldn't want to run a 2 health squad against a Stoss troop in the open, that would be really bad. Although, technically, they're not in their building, but they are in cover. Not sure how that's working out. Anyway, Black 43 is here. He's going to be using the Pioneer Führer to keep both of these 2-star veterancy, which is super important. Stoss troop now engaging the Hespuska, pushing them out. I think Vesely maybe microed that just to avoid the Molotov, but took a little bit of damage from the submachine guns. But yeah, very, very quiet start from both players. The main thing here to watch out for, though, is that Vesely is playing Lovas with the Maverick deployment type. So he's going to want to be the aggressor. He's going to be the one that we're going to see push forwards. Whereas Nilla, what he's going to do is probably just try and turtle for the first 10-15 minutes of this match. And then as soon as he gets into like phase C, he can start to really put the pressure on Nilla on Vesely, sorry, because he'll have pretty much double the income. But the Pioneer Führer here being focused down first is really bad for Nilla. He loses a lot of veterancy on his Sturmpyos and his Stoss troops. And his Stoss troops are also vulnerable now to surrender at closer ranges. Turan here has managed to move up close. The Hasselhock, they are such scary units. They are 16-man squads with 2 submachine guns and 14 rifles. And these Feg 31Ms put out a hell of a lot of damage. 1.4 damage there, which is the same as a lot of squads, machine guns and rifles put together, right? So they really do well. Oh, the Hasselhock missing the grenade though on the Panzer III is not ideal. Would have been really good for him to get that. Panzerschreck does reveal itself. That's going to come under a lot of fire. The Hasselhock, they do have 3 machine guns. Very quickly take out units at close range. On the top side, we've also got an engagement as Vesely gives his units the attack move order forward. But he is going to want to reinforce that with infantry, and that's exactly what he's doing. Also bringing in another Turan 1, as his first one has already gone down. On the bottom side, Hasselhock still charging towards the Panzer IIIN. Panzer IIIN is great for demolishing infantry. It's got 2 machine guns, and its HE does extra damage. It's got the 2.2 damage there on its HE shell, as opposed to like a standard Panzer IV or something like a Panzer III, which only has, say 1 damage. So it does that little bit extra against infantry, can chunk them very quickly. Sturm Pioneers, though, going down nice and fast to the Hasselhock. Rohamakosok have managed to get through here and clean up the Stoss troops. So Vesely looking good at the start. Turan needs to trade favourably against the Panzer III and bounces. But so does the Panzer IIIN. That is unbelievable. Both of these should easily penetrate each other at close range. Turan 2 unfortunately doesn't have much health, so only 1 shot needed from the Panzer III, because Turan 1s only do 5 damage, whilst Panzer IIINs do 8 damage. So technically the Turan has to hit twice, whereas the Panzer III only has to hit once, which is another reason why Turans are kind of bad. But yeah, Stoss troop there. Not going to win out against the Langsoddershok and the Rohamakosok, especially when they're out of Molotovs. The Flamers are always going to get the advantage there. Now Hesbuska trying to push forwards, gets spotted out by the Panzergrens here on the bottom side. Keeping an eye on both sides of the map at the same time is proving to be quite difficult, but doing my best here for you guys. Focke-Wulf's coming in for the bombing strikes. Seems to have helped out a little bit. He's got to make sure he avoids going under the flak, or over the flak 43 AA pieces. There's 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Nilla really making sure he has the AA to stick in phase A. That's going to require like 2 cards of 37s in phase A actually, so that's quite an investment into that, just to shut down the first Lovas airplay. But the Hasselhock going to have to be pushed back here and like forced back. The Hasselhock are trying to make some ground on the bottom side, get into a really annoying position down here. But Vesely, at this point in the game, really wants to find a 15-9. That's the most important part. Comes under fire from the Fat 43, bails on the idea of the cluster. Most likely would go down if he were to engage. Again, here you can see the Turan gets one shot off. I think he penetrated with the first one, but bounced with the second, and then the Panzer III just one-shots the Turan every time. They're not really able to trade very favourably with Turan 1s into Panzer IIIs. And Panzer IIIs only cost 5 points more, but that health difference makes such a big difference in those close-range engagements. So Panzergrens at long range will be able to deal with Hasarok well. If there is, however, equal numbers of Hasagoya Soroshock to Panzergrens, then the Panzergrens are going to have a problem, because they'll have 6 machine guns versus the 4 machine guns, and even though they have MG42s, they won't be good enough. So it looks like Vesely did get a Hasarok to move up here to help capture the mid flag. Nilla's going to try his luck to take that back. MG42 is going to help cover against the Hasarok. Starship should push them out the building, so the MG42 will start pinning them down quite quickly, and when they are pinned, that's going to be an easy surrender. So really nicely played there by Nilla. Focke-Wulf, though, coming in for the bombing strike onto that MG42 to get its own back. But an easy way to clean up a quite high health squad there. Oh, and the Focke-Wulf doesn't manage to get the kill. That's sometimes the trouble with those ones that carry the 50-kilogram bombs, is that they don't have the lethality to finish off units like that. And going in between 4 Flak 43s is quite risky there. Did end up with an oil leak, but didn't get shot down. Looks like a 40M has moved up here. Oh, this is actually the small ones. Okay. This is the 40M 40 mils. That he moved up. There is the 40M 75mm here. That is the Pack 40 equivalents that we saw at the start, but he's brought up a smaller one to help try and deal with the Panzer IIIs. Doesn't manage to make it work. Now the Panzer III just using its rounds to take out 2 Turan 2s. Very nicely done. As it goes, Soroshock gonna have to fall back from that engagement. These Turans just really don't match up well. They're so bad these days. It was nice when the Turans could kind of engage from like a longer range, because they could be used to overwhelm support weapons and infantry squads, but they were never any good against like medium armor. They would always get, you know, killed off quite quickly. That's exactly what you're seeing happening here. Rahamakasok, I think they do have smoke. Yeah, they do. So he could have smoked himself up there, but I don't think you noticed. The trouble is with this map is, for Vesely, in order to gain ground, he's having to fight across the close ranges because the open ranges aren't in his favor at all. So he's really focusing hard on the top and bottom side, but Nilla's gone ahead and basically focused on getting AA to the top and bottom side so that he can cover that. And you can see there it's paying off in killing the Ju-87. I don't think the Ju-87 even managed to kill the Panzer IIIN. So there's constantly these bad trades for Nilla at the moment where, yes, his infantry can probably get an advantage over Nilla's infantry, but his armor can't get an advantage over Nilla's armor. Or he's lucky in this regard because the Panzer III fired APCR, which does less damage, so the Turan actually managed to survive a couple shots, but still didn't manage to kill the Panzer III regardless. So that's, again, not a good trade for Vesely, and it's just going to continue to be this way when Nilla, you know, doesn't need to be the aggressor right now. He's just farming these Turans, farming all of this aggression, and eventually, you know, Nilla's going to run out of points, and then he can go on the counterattack, and that's basically what Nilla's waiting for. He just has to get through Phase B, and Phase B has just arrived. So, Vesely now with the 170 income per minute to Nilla's 135, so he gets an extra 35 points per tick, which is, I think, 1 unit of Hasagoya Soroshock. Oh no, sorry, they are only 30 points now. And the Hasarok are 25 points. So you can bring in like basically an extra infantry unit and a half every tick, which can, you know, add up over time. But it isn't so much of a problem for Nilla, especially since Nilla already has quite a lot of infantry on the ground. So as long as he keeps getting these good trades, takes out the Turans, he should be fine. Nilla moving up the Panzer here to try and get onto this Turan. Panzer 3 engaging the Hasagoyo Soloshok just to try to make them less effective, keep them pinned. And, well, it seems like these guys have all ended up surrounded, which is not good for Vesely. Loses that little bit of pressure on the bottom side towards his flag. Apparently Nilla just chilling up here. Yes, the Hasorok might kill off the Panzergrens, but that's not really a big deal. These Panzergren DPs are pretty much just like throwaway line infantry. Nice kill onto the Langsoroshok though. Turan getting hits onto the infantry. And that's where Turans can be used well, is if they are helping the infantry engagements without the threat of enemy armor. But for the most part, you know, they're going to struggle because there is going to be enemy armor or enemy AT that can kill it very, very quickly. Those fog walls not wanting to get anywhere near those Flak 43s, they are very scary. But infantry has one out here for Vesely. The Hasorok pushing through might be able to get their rifles onto the Flak 43 and start breaking down some of this AA, which would open up the ability for the Fog Wolves to start bombing on the top side again, which would be really, really helpful for Vesely, because I feel like Vesely's strategy from the start has been to utilize his aircraft along with his infantry to make ground, but the airplay was shut down so fast by Nilla. He purchased these Flak 43s very early in, and yeah, it's really paid dividends so far, stopping Vesely's aggression in its tracks. Hasorok here going to come under fire from the Panzer IV, so Nilla cleaning that up after he saw it run down here previously. Flak 43s firing away again. Are they going to take down the Ju-88 Recon this time? They are. Boton does get killed there in the open, and the Lovas are going to go down to the 45 and the MG42. Any aggression in the open is easily countered by these MG42s and whatever else Nilla wants to use. This Grilla has actually run out of ammunition entirely. So yeah, Vesely really struggling in this game, and 13 to 11 is not really enough. He hasn't taken barely any tickets off Nilla throughout the game. Infantry is just always getting pushed back as soon as it has to reach the open and push across the open. Just more and more stuff here to stop it. And you can see like the side of Nilla is just slowly building up and up and up. Vesely, he's got to continue the aggression. He has to push into this because otherwise he'll lose. We got more Hasago Soroshok on the way. Jagdpanzers are now on the field. Jagdpanzers are definitely going to be good for killing off the Panzer IVs of his opponent and these Panzer IIIs. He's just got to be a little bit cautious with the way in which he engages, because a Panzer IIIM, for example, with the APCR can still penetrate. Oh, nice kill there onto the Focke-Wulf. I thought that was going to be home free, but apparently not. Bombing strikes do come in. Only one of them actually ends up dropping its bombs. Both of them should be safe, though, as they move out of range of the AA. So Turan's coming in at close range to help against the Özerstroppen. They do have 2 machine guns and HE, and I think the Turan 2s do get a little bit extra damage, yeah, 1.52, as opposed to the Turans, which only get 0.8. So they're able to deal with infantry quite well when they don't have AT to be scared of. But here we're going to have to see the Turans try and trade against the Panzer III. The Panzer III might struggle to get a shot off, though, before it gets penetrated. Oh, the shooter knock, nice. That's exactly what he needed. Gets the kill. Lovely stuff. Good job, Vesely. Turan. Helping with the Panzergren DP here. Close range. Schwaloza. Trying to crack down on some of these Panzergrens. It looks like Vesely did manage to finish off the armor on the top side here. Actually, I think that was his tank, but the armor's not here anymore, which is really good. So Vesely is able to make a bit of ground, gets the Arkasok up. And now could be the chance for him to push forwards and hold. Because if he can get through here and then take control of the close range engagement, That might actually be pretty difficult for Nilla to push back into, because Nilla's infantry isn't as good in the close range engagements. Over time, at least. Like in Phase C, he's probably just got a lot of Panzergrens. And bumping into like Hasselhock at close range is going to be really bad for Panzergrens, because the Panzergrens aren't going to be able to use their machine guns, whilst being completely outnumbered by the sheer amount of rifles that Vesely's going to have. But still 13 to 11. And as long as it stays this way, Nilla doesn't really have to be too worried, because the game's going to be nowhere near finished by the time he reaches Phase C and can make his comeback. We actually decided to bring in a supply truck for the Grilla. The funny thing about that is the supply truck is almost as expensive as the Grilla itself, but he's doing that so that he can fire position these buildings and try and get rid of the unit in the center without actually committing his own infantry. But I'm going down there to the Panzer III commander. And it looks like the Marder 1 went down as well to the Turans, so that's a good kill. But Hasago's Toroshok in the open, not going to match up well. They are very strong, but they're not going to match up well against Panzergrens in heavy cover. He needs more like Lovas, and like these Akasoks are perfect for pushing through this close range engagement. Also just standard Hasselhock as well, just like another card of Hasselhock would be so good right now. Yeah, he's got 4 more coming into this bottom side. Because Hasselhock just straight up out DPS Pioneer, oh sorry, not Pioneers, Panzergrens at close range. These Pioneers SVT will be a little bit of a problem for Vesely, but he has finally found his 15 to 9. But we are only 2 minutes from Phase C. So if Nilla can hold on just a little bit longer and start getting lots more troops on the field, he's going to be able to outnumber Vesely in the long run and win the game. But we'll see if Vesely can do it. He is very, very close right now. And it would be awesome to see the first Lovas, or first Lovash, sorry, take a game here. Jagdpanzer slowly moving up. Needs to be very careful with this engagement with the Panzer IIIL and the Panzer IV-H. Panzer IIIL, again, APCR easily penetrates the Jagdpanzer at this range, and the Panzer IV, with its just high penetration, can do the job. So it's going to have to pay attention to that. Oh, this Focke-Wulf, 2 Gepards now joining the fray, and 2 3-star Flak 43s. That Focke-Wulf might just be a goner, and it is indeed. Multiple Goyosoda Shock moving up to try and take this town. This could be a big play, actually. If he manages to get these Goyosoda Shock into position, then he could take 2 flags here, which would push him 17 to 7, which would be massive, actually, because it would make it so much more difficult for Nilla to get back in the game, and he's already managed to get another flag here, pushing it 16 to 8. The Werthrahmen, though, did manage to get some of its rockets down. The Jagdpanzer did go down as well to the Panzer III engagement. But now we got the Turans there. The Panzer III kills another Jagdpanzer. Really, really important kill. Now the APCR firing away. Ideally in this engagement you want to turn off the APCR, because then you get one-shot kills. Pioneer SVT coming in to try and hold the ground. Oh, Vesely is so close. It looks like he kind of reached breaking point towards Nilla. Found that the play on the top side here that just pushed him through and gained those extra flags. And on the bottom side, doesn't quite look like he's met critical mass. Nilla's still pretty strong in the sector with these Panzer IIILs and the Panzer IV. The Panzer IV did get bailed out though, probably with the engagement on the of the Turans. 40M, 40mm coming in. 2 Pioneer SVTs are going to make it very difficult here actually for these infantry to make ground. But the 16 to 8 on this top side, still pretty hard to dislodge, and these Turans, they're quite happy to engage these Pioneers at close range, although 2 HE might actually kill that. Yep. Amazing. The 2 Gebalt Ladongs did the job there. Werthrahmen getting ready to fire again. So we have just moved into phase C. That means 155 points per minute for Nilla and only 80 for Vesely. This push, I feel like, was a little bit too aggressive. He does lose the truck there. I don't think like pushing in here was a bad idea, but he let one of his units get shot and then the rest kind of got caught out on the road. Whereas if he'd unloaded them and pushed them through the heavy cover here, he could have engaged the Panzergrens much easier and been in a favourable position, and then pushed forwards afterwards and finished off the town. But now he's kind of put himself in an awkward position. These Panzer IIIs pushing through hard. They pinned down another hostile rock here. They already surrendered one unit of infantry. Turan here is damaged. It looks like Nilla is going for the push back here. Gepard's actually moving up aggressively. No AT rifle or anything to stop these from just chewing up the units in the open. Pioneer SVT going to help clean up some hostile rock as well. You can see how much damage the hostile rock can do though in a short amount of time. We're going to clean up 2 squads of those. These Gepards cleaning up the Husargo Soloshock. Toran 2s are on the way to support that push, but the infantry is going to be all dead, so they're not going to be able to get into the town. But it is 17-7. Rocket strike comes down, kills 2 Torans on the top side, gives a flag back to Nilla. Lovas in the middle, only 7 men holding the ground there. It looked like only 1 because the number was stuck behind the flag. But Nila going down, actually. Good. Torans, can they clean up this infantry? Can they get rid of the Gepards? That might open up some infantry to come in and just capture the town quick. And for every flag that Vesely takes now, you know, that's a lot of time that he's going to hold on to that Nilla doesn't really have. Like, Nilla's going to have to hurry up and get back into this game. We'll have to see if he can do it, because at the moment it's looking pretty dire. Vesely, I would have liked to have seen pull the trigger just a little bit sooner, but he was trading badly early on. Now this 40M though is doing a great job of taking out those 2 vehicles. 2 T-34s going down. But was that the Marder or the Pioneer that took out the 40M? Is going to leave the 220mm off map alive. These Panzer IIIs moving in to stop the Kurans pushing up. Panzer III is going to get an engagement in. APCR getting the clean hit in. I just really wish that they would turn off their APCR, because that AP shell, enough to kill a Turan. So we'll see now, like, any shot that goes in. Well, that didn't actually get it. So maybe I'm getting my maths wrong. I think maybe the Turan 2s have 8 health then? And the Panzer III ends, they can one-shot them because they have 8 damage. Anyway, Focke-Wulf manages to get the bomber in there. I was pretty sure that these Panzer IIIs could get the one-shot kills, but maybe not. Maybe just a little bit underpowered. So going for the APCR shots isn't so bad if it's going to take 2 shots regardless. Another Turan down. Vesely is sitting on top of the flag right now, which is good for him, but these Panzer IIIs have just annihilated these Turans. These poor Turans. Getting just so wrecked. The 40Ms have moved forwards to provide HE fire and support against units pushing in the open, but that's not working out too well. Lovas going to move up and try and help with the MG42 in the mid, but that is going to reveal where the unit is. As Astrupen Panzergrens coming into the bottom side. Nilla, is he gonna hold on? I really didn't see Vesely like early on doing too well at all, but he somehow managed to get himself into a position that is really, really good right now. 16-8 still. Has to be a bit careful with these infantry engagements. Nice transport snipe though onto Astrupen. Any way he can get those is fantastic for him. 3 minutes left for Nilla to get back in this game. He's managed to take back the town flag. He's starting to make a little bit ground back on the bottom side. Panzergrens now coming into the mid are going to be problems, or are going to cause problems for the Lovas here. And all of a sudden, we're back to 14-10. And that's going to give Nilla another few minutes. of income that he can use to get a leg up on Vesely. And with that, will it be enough? I mean, all he's got to do now is get back 2 flags and things are okay. Vesely there bringing in his off-map plane, kept it in the air. I think that had already maybe used up its off-map, but regardless, put it into a dogfight with the BF-109s, didn't manage to keep it alive, obviously. I think the main thing that happened on the top side is like both of the AA went down. He was able to support with aircraft again. He got lots of decent engagements with the Turans all of a sudden and killed off the armor that Nilla was supporting up there. But on the bottom side, he never really broke through properly. Yeah, he managed to grab the flag in the town briefly, but that's not ideal. You want some infantry in there to solidify that. But it's still in favor of Vesely. It's just I can see like the middle like really creeping forwards here. Yeah, there we go. The 12 flags. It looks like Vesely was so close. He was so close. I really would kind of wish the first Lovas could win in this situation. It would have been awesome. But I don't really see it happening anymore, unfortunately. Just look at the lack of units on the side of Vesely in the center here. It's a real shame. Like Vesely tried so hard. Now 13-11 in favor of Nilla. Briefly. The T-34 42s just pushing in the open freely. Bottom side though is kind of being counter-attacked a little bit. Panzers have gone down, and the Panzergrens without AT aren't really able to deal with the Turan at the moment. The T-34 doesn't care, he's just driving forwards. T-34 in the mid, doing the same thing. Even up here, there's so many Akasok, but there's no infantry with AT. No Hasarok, no Lovas, none of it. So yeah, this Panzer III is fine. Anytime an infantry reveals itself, you can just shoot at it, no problem. And he's able to sit on these flags for the time being, and again, every minute that passes in Phase C, Nilla is in a good spot because he's balanced, right? Opel Blitz has managed to move down here. He's going to get this Panzer IV back online, which is going to be nice. He did actually lose his commander here. I'm not sure when that happened. Probably when he moved it up to engage here, and then the Turans probably took it out. But the T-34 going to clean up that Turan. Roham Akasok going to get cleaned up. Turan has moved up to kill the Panzergrens, which he can do quite easily. Oh, Hasarok. There we go. Beautiful kill. 15-9 though for Nilla. 15 minutes till victory. Look at the open. The open area on this map completely cleaned out. And the top and bottom side still kind of holding out because of the resistance from the infantry, which is obviously still very good. But in the open, Vesely's had problems from the start. He can't really push across the open at any point in this game with the first Lovas. So has had to make these supported pushes in the top and bottom side, which definitely got blunted on the bottom side, not so much on the top. Did manage to make that breakthrough. Yeah. I think, for the last 10 minutes, I've definitely seen this, unfortunately, going downhill for Vesely, because he was just running out of time. Like, whenever you watch a Maverick versus Balance game, you know that the 20-minute mark is the most important mark. And if you are, 17-7 at the 20-minute mark, there is a strong chance you can win. But if for some reason the balanced stays in the game, then you're going to have issues, and that's what we're seeing. So look, have managed to get onto the Flak 43 here. Might actually kill it off. Although the Flak 43 seems to be pinning that down nicely, yeah. BF-109, he was a little bit worried about that himself. Oh, has to go to solo shot, get the machine guns on. Oh, Flak 43 goes down regardless. Not sure it's going to matter at this point. I think Nilla has air superiority with his fighters and stuff. So he's not going to be too worried about Nilla's aircraft. As long as he maintains the flag lead, he's not going to be put under too much pressure. Turan does go down. Lovas. Nice kill onto the T-34. I'm just not sure. Like, if he can find loads of engagements like that, where he gets a lot of value for money out of his units in the late game, then Vesely can make it work. It's just against a player like Nilla, I don't think it's going to work at all. Nice bomb onto the Hasago Soda Shock. Going to give the flag back there, 15 to 9, and the BF-109 is getting on the back of the Focke-Wulf. Is it going to be close enough? Yes, it is. User down, Focke-Wulf. Goodbye. BF-109 G2R1 gets the job done. And even going to come in for a strafing run here onto the Hasadok. How cheeky is that? If he can get the second strafing run in there, then the Panzergrens can just turn around and surrender them. Yeah. Vesely realizes that he's going to fall back. Panzergrens finish off the Hasago Soda Shock, force them to surrender. 14 to 10 still. Vesely still hoping that he can get a couple flags back. But at the moment, I really fear it's futile. Panzer 4Gs moving in to secure the top side of the town. On this side of the map, the Hasadok currently pinned by the Panzergrens. Got caught out in the open. And the Hasago Soda Shock, if they unload to deal with the Panzergrens, Nilla's going to know that's not got AT, and he can probably just charge them. So that's might be what he looks to do on that top side. 45 mil coming in. Grilla, 2 more Panzer 4Gs. This is the difference right here. This is 2 65-point tanks every tick. 130 points. Whereas this is probably Vesely's income right now. 2 Hasadoks every tick. And then he decided to bring in a 40M as well, like a 40 mil 36M, sorry, which is his AA piece to maybe try and get some favourable air engagements. But Nilla has really started to take full control of this map, relying a lot on his armour. Not so much on his infantry. Like, infantry availability might still be low, unless he's just trying to pile up the medium armour at the moment, which could also be the case. Especially since he knows that a lot of Vesely's infantry doesn't have AT. Yes, he's been caught out in a couple of areas. For the most part, though, he is up against like Arkasok, Hasago Soda Shock, so not so much of a problem. But now 17 to 7 for Nilla. And yeah. Fortunately, we're just watching the slow demise of Vesely after what was an epic game. I really didn't think that Vesely would get anywhere near as close as he did. And, well, I probably should have had a little faith in him. It's just after some of the initial engagements with the Turans, where we saw the Panzer III's just like one-shotting them, that was not great. But yeah, Vesely's going to realize that this is long gone at this point. 34 minutes, 34 seconds. Fantastic game. First game of this series, and it's that good. Love it. Commiserations, Vesely. Fantastic attempt to take down Nilla there with the Maverick, but his time ran out, and Nilla's balanced paid off. 3,905 kills to 3,470 losses is way closer than we've seen some of the Maverick versus balanced deployment type matches. And the fact that the KDs remain so close for probably so long is the reason that Vesely managed to hang on into Phase C for so long as well. He was getting some good trades in the late game, which just allowed him that little bit extra time, but not quite enough, because he didn't really have the best start in A that he probably would have liked. Like, it stayed 12 to 12 at the start for way too long, in my opinion. Like, when you're playing Maverick deployment type, you want to be at an advantage, probably a 15 to 9 advantage at the end of A, and then moving into B, you can just end the game, right? That's the ideal. But if that doesn't happen, then you kind of like build up through B, and you hit that sort of moment where you have so many more points than your opponent on the field, and you can make serious ground. And that's what ended up happening to Vesely instead. But if you do that, then it leaves you vulnerable to the Phase C ticking up over time, and you just end up losing out due to your opponent having more numbers than you in their availability and just because more points. But yeah, in the end, I don't think there was any units that particularly stood out on the side of the first Lovas. Nehezbuska managed to get like a couple transport snipes at the start, which was pretty good. The Jagdpanzers really didn't do that great, unfortunately, for Vesely. I feel like the Jagdpanzers could have been used as a way to solidify ground in the center of the map, rather than trying to push them through the close range engagements where they got outmatched by the Panzer IVs and their turrets. And the Panzer IIILs for that matter. But yeah, later on, a Turing killing Armada, great. Pays itself off. Grilla pays itself off. Gepard pays itself off. 40M, 40mm killing 2 T-34s, fantastic. Doubly paid itself off. Turing killing Flak 43 paid itself off. You get the idea. I don't have to go through all of these and point them out. But yeah, the Turans in the late game traded way better than the Turans in the early game. Like you can see like Turing killing an Ersatztruppen. This one managed to kill a Panzer III, but that Panzer III had probably already killed 2 Turans, you know. So early game things were rough. He managed to pull it back by the end of B, but just not enough time. The Panzer III ends here, just clean in house. Killed Roham Arasok, Turan, 2 Hasagoya Soroshok. Same deal here. It's pretty much exactly the same kill list. The Grilla in the middle, even though it got a 40-point spent on it with the supply vehicle, it didn't really do as much as I thought it did, or would have done. Verflammen came in, managed to kill one of the Jagdpanzers. So that's what ended up killing one of them, and took out 3 of the Turan 2s. Then he kind of like charged it forward so that he could get the machine gun on target of some of the infantry. Panzer 3s, again, traded really well, killed a Jagdpanzer there, and then this Jagdpanzer went down actually to a Flak 88. So, yeah. Nice job by Nilla to hold on. Commiserations to Vesely. Fantastic game. Alright, well that's game 1 of the best of 3. So we're going to be moving on to game 2. See if Vesely can get his own back. And that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.